Live from iRacing's virtual Daytona International Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the regular season finale of the 2022 Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series. Well, Delta Airlines is doing their best to get fans shuttled into the Daytona Beach area as we get set for tonight's Racing for a Cause 200. And as always, happy that you're with us in the RaceSpotTV booth. We're alongside Nolan Rempel. My name is Evan Pizzoka, joined downstairs by our director tonight, Joshua Lee. And Nolan, there is a lot to talk about this afternoon. The regular season finale, a lot of money as well up for grabs for charity tonight. We'll talk about all of that and more over the course of tonight's 200-mile race.
200 miles around the world center of racing. It's bound to be one exciting show here tonight, but you mentioned there's a lot to talk about. Why don't we start off with the championship, as we are, of course, getting ourselves sorted to qualify for the regular season finale. And one of the big names we've been watching over the course of the season, Daniel Eberhardt, was confirmed earlier today to be eliminated from points contention as of last week when he had his poor showing over at Watkins Glen. It's a big shame. Daniel Eberhardt's been one of those names who has always had the pace to run up front, Evan, but it always seems that bad luck falls wherever he went, and this time it might have cost him a title.
That is the case, and it has had a big impact on our playoff picture, which we'll talk about in a moment. But first, let's talk about the venue here this afternoon. Back in Daytona for the first time since Daniel Eberhardt, of all people, won in that season opener back on February the 21st. This racetrack, you know it is a tale as long as time. 2.5 miles in length, 31 degrees of banking. And you can see we raced here in February, and we race here tonight for the last race of the regular season before the playoffs start next week at Darlington, and we race for the next 10 weeks straight to crown the winner of the Full Throttle Cup in 2022. But Nolan, you referenced the points. Let's dive into that now because there is a lot here to talk about. First off, with these playoff standings, it is always wins, seeded, then points. So all the drivers highlighted in red, locked in, they will fight for the championship this year. Notably, Daniel Eberhardt, a race winner this season twice, is not on that list. He enters tonight 43 points behind 25th in the standings, and per RSR rules, you need to be top 25 for your win to count. So Eberhardt, by 1 point, could mathematically not get in. So what that does is that opens up an additional spot on points that we've been talking about over the last few weeks. Ross Cato, if Eberhardt had been a little bit higher in the standings, Nolan, he'd be out, but right now he is above the cut line by 10 points, and the tail of the tape for the drivers in purple is going to be twofold. You can get in on points if you're anywhere in that battle from what is, I guess I would say the three drivers above the cut line to Michael Araya, not safe, all the way down to Rhett McBride, 21 points back. He is able to points his way in, but that does not mean Nolan, Amer, Rabel, Cobb, and Davis are out of luck because those drivers, being top 25 in points, can still advance with a win. So it is a very complex points picture that we're going to be talking through all night long.
I think that when it comes to those big three, you're going to have to really watch on those first three outside of the points cut line. Only 3 points separate 17th on back through 19th in the point standings, and that means that with those drivers, it will take possibly one wrong move to find those guys either falling so much further back or see them even propelling even further up the standings. It is going to be one heck of a race, though, tonight, as we will be racing into the evening for 200 miles, which will equate about 80 laps here around the Daytona International Speedway. With, of course, you got that good old fixed setup for tire changes. Now, obviously, it's going to be a strategy game, but it's not so much pit strategy that's going to be a key factor in this one. It's going to be team strategy, isn't it? I mean, you have to always take into account how you are going to be behaving around with your team in the pack. It's one of those races where it takes a different type of skill. It's not so much a skill of, being able to drive a car in a straight line as it is at some other tracks. It's more trying to know where you want to put your car. So tonight, the strategist might reign supreme.
And as qualifying happens now, a couple of important notes. 43 cars attempting to qualify, which means that just barely everybody will get an opportunity to race in tonight's Racing for a Cause 200. Nobody going to be sent home. You can see a current look at your fastest laps on the left-hand side of your screen on the Kayla Synthetics leaderboard. Another note is that Connor Horn has officially locked himself into the playoffs. He was a bit of an asterisk. You saw him 6th on the standings. He has enough points. He has wins, but he had only started 14 races coming into tonight because he has taken a lap into qualifying. He has now officially attempted to qualify in 15 races. That is the minimum. So Connor Horn will join those other names, and he is locked in to the playoffs here in 2022. So that's a big story as well. But how about this? We're 20 weeks into the year, Nolan, and we have an absolutely full field ready to go racing here in Daytona.
It's not often you see that in the league. Typically, it's the other way around. You know, things will start to drop off a little bit as the season goes along. You'll usually start with, say you get a full grid, you'll be down to maybe about 25 to 30 or so on an average basis by the time you get to this season's end. But I love the fact that there has still been close to, if not a full grid of competition in almost every single race, bar one of the road courses that we had some time ago. It really is encouraging to see, and it means we always get some of the best racing you could probably get when it comes to the stock car racing scene on a Monday night.
It is going to be a full field, long race. Drivers are going to have to be careful strategy-wise to try to plan their way to the end of this one, and it's going to be fun as well because we're going to be racing into the evening here in Daytona. You can take a look at your past winners. As always, Daytona gets 2 appearances on the calendar every single year, and we have not had a repeat winner in the last 5 trips here to Daytona International Speedway. Of course, you can see that win from Daniel Eberhardt, the one that we mentioned earlier, who won to kick off this season way back in February. At that point, the conversations with him were the first one locked into the playoffs. Well, how things have changed in the 19 races since we have been at that point. One other thing I wanted to mention, Nolan, before we go to the grid tonight is the Racing for a Cause 200. Several cars going to be sporting their favorite charities and causes tonight. Many drivers have donated into a pool. We'll talk about all those different causes and charities over the course of the night. But if your race winner tonight is a driver sporting a charity on their car, they're going to get more than $100 worth of donations.
And it's always awesome to be able to see these Racing for a Cause races making appearances. It was such a massive success when we tried it out for the first time in the Full Throttle Cup Series just last year. Really looking forward to see what it'll mean for this year, and obviously every season going forward, as I imagine this is going to end up becoming a staple on the RSR schedule.
And it is finally that time. For the last time in the regular season, we go trackside and take a look at your Kayla Synthetics starting grid. And Grant Davis will start tonight from pole position. He is a must-win driver if he wants to make it to the postseason, and he has got the best starting spot on pole alongside the number 20 of Brandon Fetter Place. Christian Balcherik will start third tonight. He's alongside Michael Johnson in the number 4 spot, along with Kyle Kamer and Manazzi Major, your top 6.
Bram Jaron Wymaster still within a 1/4 of a tenth, though, of your pole sitter, with Tom Wetmore beside him on row number 4. Brandon 6 and Thomas George round out the top 10. He is set in a 3-way tie for 10th place, with Brandon Bowie and Eric Papanow also qualifying at 49.953s for 11th and 12th.
And Cody Harris going to find himself in 13th position for this one, alongside Kevin King at 14th. Michael Araya, Andrew Freeney, Sam Nieto, Sean Casto about halfway through the field as they roll off pit road.
Matt Danson is in 19th place with Dominic DeHow down in 20th. William Schmidt starts 21st with Daniel Eberhardt in 22nd. David Call was in 23rd. Timothy Johnston 24th.
25th tonight goes to Garrett Hess. James Ross will start 26th. Nicholas Cohan 27th. Eric Stanford 28th. Ross Hato on the bubble, 10 points to the good. 29th with Agnew Phillip in 30th.
31st place holds Dylan Jones with Braden Whitaker in 32nd. Chris Rabel is 33rd. Sean Kalis is 34th. Nick Silver 35th. Joseph Tice, the first driver finally a 10th out from your pole sitter, in 36th.
And continuing on through, Chris Edwards, Mike Kaczynski, Tom Morano, Bradley Burke, Landon Bills, Connor Horn, and Brian Chambliss. Only those last three not taking a time into qualifying. That's a look top to bottom at your Kayla Synthetics starting grid. You see track conditions, 74 degrees Fahrenheit. The track temp's a little bit warmer than that, but the big thing is 6:25 p.m. The sun will start to dip behind those massive grandstands as we get later into the afternoon. As the field rolls off at turn number 4 for the final time of this regular season, we want to say that we're happy that you're spending your Monday night with us here on RaceSpotTV. Pace car down, field in the hands of Grant Davis as we say, let's go racing at Daytona. Side by side of the line, it is Grant Davis back to the race lead at the end of lap number 1. Christian Malcherik did not get a good jump. It killed the inside, but Davis was able to fight back. He does get the first lap blood of the night, Nolan. And we saw Sam Nieto on the apron down the Daytona super stretch in the back straightaway. He has decided to drop back into the high 30s, not wanting to be up front early on in this race. Is the outside the advantage for car lengths to turn 3.
Unfortunately, that move from Nieto that put himself way back in this field has been an absolute detriment to really the back 7 cars or so. They have lost the draft of this leading pack. They're going to have to hope for a yellow flag if they want to get themselves back in the race contention, or they could get formed up and try to make a run, as they are still side by side and nobody can figure out where anybody wants to go, as it is pandemonium in this leading pack. Down the front straightaway, check up on the inside line. David Gall and Jared Weimaster made nose-to-tail contact as they slowed up to avoid a slowing Kyle Kamer.
And there's a move from the 6. George going to go high to low. If you want to be aggressive, you can do this all night long. Tom Wetmore does not want to do this all night long. He leads a lap. He scores a bonus point. And now Wetmore will dive down to the apron, and he is going to bow out of this conversation, not wanting to be in this mess right now. Wetmore comes into tonight 10 points behind Ross Cato for the final spot in the postseason on points. So as he bows out, change up front, Daniel Eberhardt, new race leader. Nolan, we followed the struggles for the Donny car over the last couple of weeks as Andrew Freenash from 3rd will go down to lead the inside line, but he had a DNF 2 weeks ago, a DNS a week ago, and because of that, even if he wins tonight's race, leads the most laps, scores max points 42, he would still be 1 short of the positioning he needs. So Eberhardt has nothing to lose here, simply looking for a win and to defend his victory from February.
Trying to become the first repeat winner here at Daytona within the last 5 starts. That wraps up over 2, make it going to be 3 years now if he does not manage to get that repeat win in. You saw one driver behind that was kind of caught in that little bit of a sucker hole, and that's something very easy to happen as, whoa, a bit of a move there for that Mustang up on the top shelf, as Daniel Eberhardt really not having a good time. You had seen the 86 with Dominic Howe trying to look high to get around him, and Eberhardt said, nope, no thank you. I want you to stay right where you are. And now it's Thomas George get caught in the middle as Howe goes high, and he'll take Eberhardt with him.
And remember, as you watch that leaderboard on the left-hand side of your screen change, brought to you by our friends at Kayla Synthetics, remember what those colors mean. Drivers highlighted in red are already locked in to the full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series playoffs. Drivers in pink are eligible, but that means a lot. They could be in on points, they could be needing a win, but their fate's still undecided at this point. And then the drivers highlighted in blue, mathematically eliminated. I am surprised, Nolan, early for the cars in the top 5, not playoff eligible. The guys who have the least to lose, but maybe I shouldn't be so shocked. Seems like the drivers with a lot on the line here hang it back early, trying to play it a little bit more safe.
Well, remember, Daytona is also one of those races where you can get some really unusual names up there in the front of this field that you wouldn't normally expect to see there. I mean, even in real life, look at Cody Ware. After yesterday's chaos, came out of that red flag, over in the top 5. And, of course, you've got guys like Eric Papanow and Brandon Fetterplace who might be locked out, but they do have some pace underneath them. Look at Maltrek. He has been having a solid start to his RSR campaign, as he is, of course, running part-time. Well, he made a handful of starts, but he's already proven he's got the pace. He could very well be a title contender himself within the next year.
He has had a very impressive debut. Malcherek has started in the NASCAR Wheel in the Euro Series overseas, running a partial schedule here in 2022 with a full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series on iRacing. A lot of moving going on here at the top of the running order. As you see, Andrew Freenosh has led the last couple of them. Eberhard's going to try to fight back up top. He's led a lap himself, and the advantage goes to the inside, to the outside, here, there, and everywhere, as again, Daytona very much with this draft model, big pack racing. We've seen as the draft model on the iRacing service has evolved and changed over the years. Sometimes you get one where you string more out. You certainly see that in some of the lower series of the stock car ranks, but not these next-gen cars. They are going to be like this all night long, and 2 wide is them taking it easy. The 3 wide, which I bet we'll see later, is important, and look at that move. Dominic Howe tried to go high on Daniel Eberhard, and the 90 car shut that down.
Yeah, I don't think Daniel Eberhard's content to be caught in that sucker hole. He tried to clear down low from Andrew Freenosh, but Freenosh said no dice. I tell you what, Daniel Eberhard is not making friends here, and that's what you got to do. You need to have those guys that you can rely on. It seems like nobody really wants to work, though, with that number 90 car as he continues to rip it on that top shelf out of the tri-oval as we cross over onto lap number 9.
Right-hand side of your screen, you take a look at the live standings by the cut line. Again, there's a lot happening here tonight. You're looking at the points paying positions. Coming into this afternoon, Lariah, Johnson, Katos at 14, 15, 16. They sit in that exact order, so no change at the moment for those drivers battling on the bump. We'll see again as these positions shuffle up over the course of the afternoon how that will be affected. That's only one battle. You can battle for what is 16th in the playoff standings. It's 14th in the regular points being the cut line because Connor Horn 18th and Daniel Phillip 20th have wins, which means that without the win in your in, Nolan, Tom Wetmore and William Schmidt are playoff cards. They are top 16, but because 2 guys behind them in the standings won, they actually find themselves out despite the fact being top 16 in the points, so I guarantee those guys have a chip on their shoulder.
You saw Kyle Cameron make a very aggressive move up to the top shelf there down that back straightaway as he looked get up and jump in front of Daniel Eberhard. Did not want to hang around on that bottom lane for very long. We cycled through a few of these drivers, including Daniel Eberhard and Brandon Fetterplace. We still work double file through turns 1 and 2. Cameron now leads the top side, looking to try to make a run for the race lead, but Freenosh gets that speed going on the bottom.
Kyle Cameron, somebody who's been in this championship for so many years, and Kamer comes into this one in a must-win situation, 21st in points. So if he were to win the race, he would be eligible to advance into the playoffs, but there is no way for Kyle Camer to points his way in. He needs to win the race here tonight at Daytona if Kyle Kamer is going to get in and fight for the championship this year. And here's Eberhard back underneath. Dominic Howe going to follow him through as well. So constantly juggling around at the front of the field here. And again, Eberhard is somebody, Nolan, who drives like he has nothing to lose, even in the scenarios in which there is so much on the line. He has been such a fast car all year. You'd be shocked at his actual numbers as Eric Papadow is going to hit the eject button, go into the apron, the drop back. And because Eberhard actually has nothing to worry about, I'd be afraid of him, as at 37, Papadow just about spun the car down in the grass on the apron. Now he's going to give up way more time than I think he initially wanted. And a spinner off of turn number 4. I saw some smoke. One car went off track. It was Braden Whitaker. No yellow. This race will stay green. He lost that St. Jude Children's Research Hospital Chevrolet on his own after I think he was a little bit nervous about what Papineau is doing on the apron.
And he's not the only driver. James Ross had some contact with the outside while entering turn 3 with Benazzi Major. We'll take a look at this one first. And yeah, Braden.
That he wanted St. Jude Children's Research Hospital to be on his car tonight. A tough break for Braden. Unfortunately, not going to be able to take home that donation purse tonight, but a great job raising awareness on that 40 car after he got into the inside wall. Tough break for him. So a couple of single car issues early. We apologize if the audio cut out there for a moment. Back live here at Daytona, 14 laps in, and seems like the advantage has swung to the outside now.
Up on the dark shelf there for Andrew Freenos, trying to close down on Daniel Eberhard with Grant Davis running in third. That top line getting going as the top 6 have cleared. You see Brandon Bowie in the Civic Q machine looking out from just behind, trying to make a potential move. He's going to tuck it back in, though, and we'll have to try that one another time. That outside lane can really be strong if only you could get enough cars to run it with you.
Counting 6 cars, the advantage outside line over the inside. Dylan Jones, another longtime RSR competitor, leading the bottom. Any of those cars up top, Eberhard, Davis, George, Hess, they could all dive down and get a run. But you wonder at what point, 15 laps into this race already, do these drivers decide, all right, I kind of want to make it to lap 80 in this race. I'm going to, settle in, find a spot in line, and not necessarily take it easy, but, be a little bit smart, be a little bit strategic about this. I wonder if that's why that outside is holding a bit of momentum. But, you got David DeKalb there. Garrett Hess did decide to stop down. So it seems like at this point, nobody really too concerned about taking it easy. But I will say it hasn't been too wild of a start. These drivers have, been making moves. You got drivers way up. Daniel Eberhard up 21 spots, Freenos up 14, Kolb and Hess up 17 apiece. So you got big movers, don't get me wrong. But I think all things considered, pretty exciting and clean start here in Daytona.
It's been a very clean start indeed, as all of these drivers have been more getting themselves just kind of settled into a little rhythm here, and I think that's kind of what all Super Speedway races are like. You get the initial 10 laps or so of just complete chaos as everybody tries to get themselves sorted. Then somebody's going to try something that might not go out too well. Everybody decides, yeah, okay, should probably calm it down a little bit upon seeing how close they came to having their races ended. And we get more of a two-line processional race like what we're seeing here, especially at Daytona. Now, Talladega likely is a different story, and we'll likely be seeing a different story when we return there in playoff competition. But at Daytona, you have so much less room to work with. It's amazing that those two tracks can be almost the exact same length, yet by being even just a lane and a half narrower, Daytona looks that much smaller.
And you'll notice that a lot in a couple of weeks when we go racing at a Talladega Super Speedway for the second time this year, how much smaller Daytona really is, and certainly feels like it, that much more so from behind the wheel. You can see Daniel Eberhardt playing bouncer right now, blocking high, blocking low, but you just can't make the race car that wide. And eventually the 11 David DeKalb is going to be able to stick a nose down to the inside, and David DeKalb looking to get his first lap lead of the afternoon. Gets it nose in front, center of the corner, but I think the outside is going to get the speed off the turn, and Eberhardt likely going to have a small advantage, but David DeKalb, somebody else, entering tonight 23rd in the standings in a must-win position. Doing good early for him to want to advance to these 2022 playoffs.
Having a very solid night indeed for himself as he continues to work his way around this racetrack and continuing to look at that inside lane as David Kolb has been slowly bringing himself further and further up. He has been working with Garrett Hess to close up on those front runners. It's not one of those situations where the top six are clear anymore. That inside lane is finally getting himself organized, and let's be honest, when it comes down to it, the bottom lane absolutely would be the faster lane on this racetrack. The only reason why it most commonly isn't is because of the big checkups, especially on corner X, like what we just saw there, and that gives that outside lane another run down the front stretch.
Sun continues to go further and further down on the horizon. It is a nice late afternoon glow here in Daytona Beach. Beautiful weather, 3 wide, as the double O of Garrett Hess is going to go backwards, and he will decide to drop down out of the way, and we are quarter distance in tonight's racing for a cause 200. It is Eberhardt leading on the outside. He has led more laps than anybody tonight. We've seen 6 different drivers lead a lap. 1 lap led for Kamer, Davis, Wetmore, and Howe. 7 for Freenosh, and that time by 9 laps led for Eberhardt. So again, doing everything he can to get a max points night, but mathematically just not in the cards for Daniel. The biggest thing I'm surprised about is how big we've seen those movers. I know I referenced it in passing, Nolan. You know, you get a couple of guys, Eberhardt included, up 21 spots, Freenosh up 14. I mean, that's very surprising for 20 laps into this race. Not surprised that we've seen movers. A lot of the time, people who qualify up front are going to drop back down, try to play it safe, but I mean, there are more drivers, running up front in the top 10 that started outside of it than the opposite. So the guys up front, clearly the people who have made a conscious decision that they want to be aggressive, and that's how they're going to attack this race.
Absolutely correct on that one. As we can see, these guys really picking their battles carefully. They're picking what lanes they want to try to make these moves on. And so far, it does seem like if you want to stay up in front at least, outside lane is the way to go as Daniel Eberhardt puts himself up to the race lead. But Freenosh making a charge up the bottom, and he's going to pull alongside with Eberhardt for the race lead in 3 and 4. But it looks like Eberhardt will be able to still maintain that spot up on the top side as you ride aboard with Jared Weinmaster's Chevrolet right behind the Series XM Mustang of Thomas George.
There's a look off of the back of the number 90 Battle Beaver Ford Mustang of Daniel Eberhardt, and just kind of take a minute to enjoy this view. 2 of the very best who have ever done it here on a Monday night, racing side by side with one another. Daniel Eberhardt leading this race in his 188th career RealSimRacing Cup Series start. Andrew Freenosh in his 187th career Cup Series start. That ties him with the great Dwayne Vincent for 4th on the all-time list. And again, that is limited to only starts in the Cup Series. If you include the Winter Series, both those drivers well in excess of 200 races here on Monday nights. And Freenach, of course, occupying the bulk of the big hardware. The four-time series champion has not been his usual dominant self this year. He has been open with the struggles he's had in learning this car, adjusting to the style of racing that this car brings, which he is not the biggest fan of. And he finds himself looking to complete the five-peat this year. Last time somebody not named Andrew Freenach was the RSR champion was back in 2017 when David Comstock took home the title. Going to be fun watching Freenach work for the rest of the year, as Minotzi Major thought he was going to give a shove from David Kolb, but Kolb's going to go outside, and Eberhardt goes up as well. I mean, Daniel's just going everywhere. The run is not clear, though. David Kolb turns down on Minotzi Major, back into traffic, and there they go, wrecking in 1 and 2.
The field jams on the binders in the background. The 21 is collected in that whole mess as they slide to a stop. Nick Cohen is involved in this. You can see at least 4 rejoining from the bottom lane. I think about 8 total got into that one. A big crash in turns 1 and 2, though, for us to be put into the first caution at lap 25.
And David Kolb immediately apologizing for it, Nolan, and I get where it comes from. We already referenced it earlier, right? David Kolb needs to win this race to advance to the playoffs. He thought he was going to go to the race lead, but Daniel Eberhardt went up to block him, and you'll see as they come through and David Kolb goes back to go low. He was admittedly never really close and turns right down across the nose of Minotzi Major. There was a moment in time where I thought maybe they were going to save it, but then everybody watched it back up the hill, and tough break was the 6 of Thomas George, who got turned, and that really kicked things off. That's a big incident for Thomas George, Nolan, coming into tonight 19th in the standings, 13 below the playoff cut, and Thomas George is the one who got tagged and got a little bit loose. He was able to save the race car. Other drivers, not so lucky. A lot of big hits for the 00 Hess, Danson, Johnson, and others.
Such a big shame for all of those drivers. Matt Danson collected with the meatball flag as a result of that incident. We'll ride on board with Michael Johnson in the 39 Ford Mustang, as he had a front row seat of all of this. Across the start-finish line alongside with Winemaster, you'll see all of a sudden the massive check in front, and he's going to have no idea what's coming. All of a sudden, 1 bit of smoke, then they go 4 wide. There's nothing you can do. He gets hooked from behind and just up back into traffic. There's nothing you can really do there as he got into Garrett Hesta boot, and who was that snaking through the inside? I think that might have been somebody having one heck of a wreck avoidance, going from top to bottom into the grass trying to get around that big one.
The race leaders are going to come down to pit road. A bit of a holdup for the back half of the field. A lot of drivers waiting for Matt Danson to limp his car around to pit road. So the field is divided into 2 large groups as they head to pit road. But it is a scheduled stop. These drivers have more than enough sets of Goodyear tires to go to the end of the race. They have 4 additional sets available. You're not going to need anywhere near that, but might as well. Wholesale service. Caution to flag. You're going to get fuel. You're going to get tires. Looks like 12.7 seconds in the box for Daniel Eberhardt, who's the first driver off of pit road. He opted to go for right side tires only. Andrew Freenach behind him, second car off the pit lane, opted to go for 4. Not sure it's going to make a huge difference, though.
Eberhardt is off of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway, as he is going to have himself a pretty solid run of things out there in this field, as he will find himself still up there near the front of your race lead, and he will be your race leader as we will cross over onto lap number 27. So it's been a solid run for both Battle Beaver machines, who will line up 1-2 here as we get set to go back green flag racing, hopefully within the next lap or 2 here on this one, due to caution flags taking a significant time here over at Daytona International Speedway. Dylan Jones will be starting in 3rd, Grant Davis 4th, George 5th. Winemaster will round out those first 3 rows. All of them avoided the big mess that saw us under this first caution.
And a bit of discussion as well over the radio with Daniel Eberhardt. Question marks on if he is going to be able to get to the end of this race on fuel. So this could be interesting. It might see a little bit of saving from this point on.
Saving possibility is very much a possibility here, as these drivers do sometimes want to save their fuel. Now, I do find this relatively interesting. It wouldn't actually be the first time I've seen a fuel mileage race, even just this year. I actually remember a race earlier on that I was announcing for a different series, and in that race, you actually had a good chunk of the drivers there come on down to pit. The top three, though, all stayed out. They tried to draft off of each other. Last lap, 2 cars run out of fuel, and the last one died off at turn number 4, and he still won that race with the rest of the field barreling him down. So fuel mileage race, surprisingly a viable strategy if you know how to make it work.
And lights out on top of the base car. Daniel Eberhardt going to be on the inside line for this one. The restart procedures that we've highlighted a little bit more in depth over the course of the last few weeks as iRacing now enforces those restart zones painted onto the racetrack. Not as much of an impact here tonight as they are at other racetracks. In fact, in certain circumstances, you actually don't want to get too far out ahead of the rest of the field, because you'll simply just get swallowed up as everybody gets up to speed and goes through turns number 1 and 2. So the caution for that last one was claimed by David Kolb. No surprise there, because he was heavily involved in the incident. And we're going to get set for a restart and try this again. Pace car down and in this time. Field in the hands of the number 90 Ford of Daniel Eberhardt. Green flag flies. Still 52 laps to go in Daytona Beach. Side to the low side, and looking for the race lead again is the 90 of Eberhardt. Sat in line behind Davis, Whitlow, Frenosh with him. Now Jones going to cross both of them over as they go back to the outside, and it hasn't even been a lap. We are right back in the swing of things. Full song, 195 miles an hour in turn 3.
Down to turn number 3 we go. The entire field in tow. That caution was the one that a lot of those drivers that were collected in lap 1 chaos absolutely needed. And now we'll be seeing these guys able to see if they can fight back. Dylan Jones caught in the middle as Thomas George abandons him for the low shelf, and nobody up top is wanting to work with him. Dylan Jones will lose about 7 spots. He'll find a hole, though, to tuck in line on that top lane right before Nick Silver can get by him on the bottom. He'll try to catch up now to David Kolb. Up goes Kyle Kamer. He's going to move up, as will the 82 of Minazzi Major.
Minazzi Major has been up front for a lot of this race in that 82 car. The black and gold paint scheme for him tonight. He is representing the Thurgood Marshall College Fund here this afternoon as part of the Racing for a Cause 200. It is a non-profit organization that supports over 300,000 students at HBCUs throughout the United States, providing scholarships, career readiness training, and academic support. So great to see Minazzi supporting that cause tonight, and he is in the thick of things.
Very much in the thick of things as he continues to try to run things down and just try to get himself sorted and hopefully set himself up for some bullet moves later on throughout this race. William Schmidt still in contention for a potential championship spot here. He is now up into the race lead from the bottom shelf, but you've got Landon Mills working up on that top lane as well, trying to find a way through, and three wide up the middle is Daniel Eberhard. He'll clear down in front of William Schmidt as Thomas George gets left to hang out to dry.
Thomas George gonna drop like a rock in the Earnhardt sucker hole right down the middle, and he is gonna go from a top 5 spot to no better than 15th before he can get his land legs back underneath him. And listen, you can't help but love watching Daniel Eberhard race. I mean, I think it's a shame for us, Nolan, a shame for the viewers that he is not going to be eligible to compete for the championship, because when he races like this, it is fun. I mean, he does not care about holding and staying in one line. He's going to go for the race lead every second of every lap of every race, and William Schmidt was hoping that the 26 of Landon Mills would go with him. He tried to get to the inside to go to the lead. Nobody helped, and Eberhard stays up front. Mills from 41st on the grid. Led a lap a little bit ago and is in second spot. What a drive for that 26 Chevy.
A lot of drivers weaving around down that back straightaway as everybody's trying to get themselves sorted on board with Landon Mills as he pushes Daniel Eberhard up to the front and well clear of the inside lane behind, but a little bit of a wiggle. We'll see that inside lane start to close on up through turn numbers 3 and 4 as this field continues to cycle around the world center of racing, already approaching halfway. Schmidt still leads that bottom lane, but he's got some work to do. He'll have to hope that Brandon Fetterplace can close up and fight with him.
Fetterplace has been a little bit quiet after starting tonight in a pretty good running position. He's got some work to do after starting second, falling back. Now he's up to 5th again, looking to just be a little bit more consistent in those top running positions. And right now, I mean, it's hard to miss that 20 car down on the inside of the racetrack. One of the brightest of the cars in the field here tonight. And Eberhard going to go down. He saw that the 20 and the 79 of Schmidt had something cooking. Just slows him down a little bit. Right back up top. And Landon Mills did not lift much, giving a push to Eberhard. And that was a little bit sketchy. Now that 35 laps are complete at Daytona, almost halfway home in the Racing for a Cause 200.
3 Battle Beaver machines are running up on that top shelf. 2 Mustangs and 1 Camaro as they try to battle against William Schmidt as well as Brandon Fetterplace on the inside line. Nick Silver also hanging around still in the mix in his number 4 Mustang as well. It's so far been a solid run though for the top line, as sure enough, up to the top will go Eberhard, Mills, and Friedrich. They'll now clear Schmidt from the bottom place. Brandon Fetterplace not able to make a good move through turns 3 and 4, so he got a bit up and out of shape and into the middle line. He had to make a quick adjustment back down low to avoid getting caught in that middle groove.
And again, there were some drivers after everybody fueled up on the one and only yellow flag that happened a little bit earlier on in this race at lap number 25. Everybody came down to get fuel. Some drivers expressing concerns. They weren't sure if they were going to be able to get to the end of this race. Eberhard was one who said that over the open radio channel, I would think, Nolan, if you're not sure you're good on fuel, you wouldn't want to be leading, as just about door slam the cars on the inside, right? If you're in the pack a little bit, you can save, you can lift, but I don't think Daniel Eberhard's that concerned because, again, he wants to be at the lead line every single lap.
And you had seen Eberhard get a little bit out of shape there, as you had mentioned. He almost made door-to-door contact with Brandon Fetterplace, but you're absolutely right. It's a bit counterproductive to be leading when you're not sure on the fuel. Now, even if you're running in second place like Landon Mills is, oh, you're fine. It's no problem there. But for Andrew Friedrich, if he's leading this race, it's a very much different story. I think you'd most likely want to be in 3rd place, though, because even the guy in 2nd doesn't do all that much fuel saving. Yeah, he's hanging around behind the race leader, but you have to remember, he's also the guy pushing the race leader. It's really the 3rd car in line that is actually the one that is being able to save fuel the most.
And that's where you find Andrew Freenosh on the outside, or the 4 of Nick Silver down on the inside of the racetrack. Normal colors on board the number 4 of Nick Silver tonight, but he is indeed racing for the Santa Barbara Humane Society tonight, and in a very good spot. Got those decals on his normal look at number 4 Ford Mustang in a good spot on the inside line. Silver yet to lead a lap tonight. There's his onboard perspective looking up to the life of a sim racer, number 20 Toyota Camry of Brandon Fetterplace. We were talking about just a few laps ago, and third in line, couple of sparks getting thrown off of that front row, and a lot of sun in your eyes through turns 3 and 4 as well. I think those lights going to be coming on awfully soon here at the World Center of Racing.
Tell you what, that sunlight can really be blinding off earned numbers 3 and 4, and it is often why that section of racetrack is a bit more hazardous than any of the other ones are, as they have been really struggling for a good portion of the day with that sunlight, especially as it dips closer and closer towards the horizon. The problem is, if you get blinded even for a minute, that might be fine on any other racetrack, but you know, on a super speedway where you're running within a couple of inches maybe of other drivers around you at 190 plus miles an hour, it's not going to lead to the most pleasant result. And it's amazing that we haven't seen more problems on the 3 and 4, as a matter of fact. But I do like to see that you still have those challenges you have to work with. It does provide something new and unique, and that's why I love these day-to-night races. It throws that one extra variable into the mix.
It absolutely does, and we are now officially halfway home in the regular season finale. This is typically a futile effort, but we'll try it. Halfway home, let's take a look at your Kayla Synthetics Midway Race Break as of lap 40. Daniel Eberhardt, your race leader, with Landon Mills, Andrew Freenosh, William Schmidt, and Grant Davis in the top 5. Brandon Fetterplace, Nick Silver, Jared Winemaster, Madatsi Major, and David Kolb were the top 10 as we get a little bit of lap traffic on the inside.
You just see Mac Danson slipping back through the field as Dominic Howe and Kevin King will be 11th and 12th. Kyle Chambers sits down in 13th place as they've been having themselves a very solid run so far throughout tonight. They've been taking their time, just sitting a little bit further down in this field, but they'll be no doubt looking to work their way up before too long. 14th place is Ross Cato, Jones, and Wetmore 15th, 16th, and 17th, with 6 and Cohen to round out 19th and 20th as well.
And continuing on through halfway home, Sean Kalis, you mentioned him in the mix there. He's ahead of Christian Balcherik, 22nd. Jim Ross is 23rd. Agano Phillip, 24th. And Eric Stanford runs in 25th position. Sean Casto, 26th. Michael Johnson, who started this race at 4th, is down in 27th, with Eric Papanow, Chris Rabel, and Brandon Bowie, the drivers in the top 30. And then a lot of drivers who have been just hanging back here all night. You got 31st, Bowie dropping a little bit. Nieto now 32nd, Chris Edwards 33rd, Bradley Burke 34th, and Garrett Hessen 35th. Michael Arias 36th, Mike Kuczynski 37th, Cody Harris 38th, Tom Morano 39th, and Connor Horn is the last car on the lead lap, running in 40th position. Matt Danson 10 laps down in 41st. He's the car that the lead field just lapped. He is ahead of Braden Whitaker 42nd and Brian Chinglis 43rd. Those two drivers to the garage after the wreck on lap 25. That's a look top to bottom at your Kayla Synthetics Midway Race Break. Kayla Synthetics is an independent dealer of AMSOIL lubricants serving the United States and Canada, providing custom engine lubrication solutions to all types of customers, from private individuals to race teams, hauling fleets, and everything in between. They have the products and expertise to help you save time and money. Dealer number 300-71815. Well, the ring around a Rosie on the front row game continues as Eberhardt's high, then low, then high, then low, and look out, William Schmidt's tired of it, tried to go to the outside, he got blocked, nearly spun it, Fetterplace was on the apron, and that was so close to being the second big wreck of the night.
I don't know how they managed to gather that up off of turn number 4. We were talking maybe an inch of space between that being absolutely disastrous. The only way that could have been worse was if that 20 car had come out onto the racetrack and if Silver hadn't given him any room. But they did exactly what they needed to do, and the best part about that, they barely lost any speed because of that one. So they keep it going at 190 plus miles an hour with Schmidt down low. Better place in second with Landon Mills still looking to work with Daniel Eberhardt up on that top shelf, trying to force that 90 car up into the race lead.
And we got some pit road takers with 35 laps left to go. A little bit of smoke on the way in. Kyle Kamer, Ross Cato, Eric Stanford, and Sean Kalist into the box. And the 19 was short. Thought that he was going to be way deep, but I think a little bit short into the box was the 19 machine there of Stanford. That's going to cost him time, and if it causes him to lose connection with the cars who he pitted with, that's a big issue, Nolan, because there's nothing more important on a pit cycle here at Daytona than leaving with other cars.
Lose connection, he absolutely did, so he'll have to really hope that something bad happens to the rest of this field, so we'll be able to close his way back up to the front of this thing. No further takers throughout the remainder of your field as we continue to work around now lap 47 out of 80 with just 34 laps left on tonight's docket. On top of that, I'm surprised Eric Stanford didn't get an unsafe pit entry as he had slid 4 tires into the grass while he was entering pit road.
You can see very clearly that that Battle Beaver contingent, at least the Eberhardt and Mills part of it, in coordination with each other. Both of those drivers racing here in the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series, representing the team. Of course, Andrew Friedosh not a direct affiliate, but I'm sure Battle Beaver's in their ear, and Nolan, pretty clear that those 3 cars want to be up here and want to be able to fight for the win against each other.
You can see even one car further behind that wants to make some moves as well, as Dylan Jones had gone 3 wide, but didn't lose a whole lot of spots as nobody had gone down to help him out. But still got Eberhardt working that top lane, and in fact all 3 Battle Beaver cars still working on that top side. They have really been doing a great job on working together, trying to keep themselves on a solid run up there in the front of this thing, which is a bit surprising, honestly, because it's worth noting that while they might all have Battle Beaver covers, they are not all on the same team.
Yeah, of course, Friedosh, as I mentioned, the kind of third wheel in the team duo between Eberhardt and Mills, but I think happy to tag along. There is a lot of speed on that outside line. Eberhardt, Mills, Friedosh, and then you got Davis, you got Widemaster, and of course David Kolb trying to bounce back. Lucky that he didn't get too much damage, I suppose, Nolan, in that earlier incident. Of course, was at the start of where all the contact happened, but he recovered the car. The wreck was kind of what ensued afterwards, and David Kolb fortunate to still be competitive in this race. Again, he's one of the drivers who needs to win to make it to the playoffs, and well, your field's going to have to sneak to the outside because Sean Kalist holds the bottom, and we're going to go 3 wide down the short chute.
The Kalist Synthetics 43 Mustang going to be falling back to the field as he will officially go, 1 lap down. And that will cause Schmidt to lose a bit of that momentum from the bottom lane as that entire inside line had to scramble up to the middle of the racetrack to avoid running straight to the back end of Sean Kalist. Of course, while it's usually advised if you get down on David, there's no rule that says you have to, as David Kolb with a huge end of steam will up to the inside to overtake Jared Widemaster. That wasn't smart, though, because now the 86 car is going to fill that hole immediately with Dominic Howe, and all of a sudden, David Kolb is going to be on the back foot here.
And Nick Silver says over the radio that he is going to come to pit road and he will not be alone. A handful of more cars down for service. William Schmidt, you got Brandon Fetterplace, Casto, Johnson, Silver, Papineau, and in the grass was the 20th Fetterplace. Not the most tidy of pit entries. He does get down eventually, but it's going to be tough for Brandon Fetterplace, who had been up at a good running spot, because that's likely going to be a penalty for an unsafe pit entrance.
If you think that's going to be an unsafe penalty or pit entry, then you'll have to get Christian Maltrek as well. He went about 3 times as far out as wide as Better Place did, and worse yet, Maltrek took the pit entry code in with him. So I think that alone would relegate these 2 guys with unsafe pit entry penalties. So hopefully that won't be too big of a deal, and hopefully it doesn't look like they've actually had to get those penalties so far. So they might have found some way to break the system and luck their way out of some black flags right there.
Well, that would really be lucky. Of course, entering pit road for the grass, I would consider unsafe. But again, all of that is handled automatically by the iRacing service and does not matter. The outside line, I mean, this has been the theme tonight. The big advantage has been to those cars, right? I mean, 8 car lengths, 9 the advantage up top, a little bit of traffic down on the bottom. I think that's a smart move there to not cause everybody to freak out, because I'm sure that Garrett Hess would have loved to blend into the group there, but just too much of a speed differential, him on his own, those cars in a huge pack, and instead he will decide to simply tough it out, go to the back, and he'll lose touch with the lead pack, which is certainly going to be hurtful. But, you know, at this point we've seen probably a dozen, maybe 14, 15 cars pit under green, Nolan, since we were on pit road. There's 2 more of them on the apron as your race leaders go by. Should we assume then that the 24 cars who have yet to pit are going to have to come in if we've seen this many?
They absolutely might have to come in, especially for these guys that are way back here in this field. So it's going to be a very tough challenge to now figuring out where do you want to come on in and how do you want to come on in. You do not want to wait until you only have a lap of fuel left, because what happens if you're all of a sudden stuck on that outside lane? Now you can't go anywhere. So these guys have got to be very, very careful about where they make that pit entry. Now, nobody came in from the lead pack that time around, so we'll see how that's going to play out. Here's the first train up the road, led by Sean Casto. It's got Bowie, Schmidt, Kamer, Cato, and Rabel all in the mix, and you can see them just the road from your race leader, Daniel Eberhardt's group.
Gotta wonder how well Andy DeBills is at regulating those temps, because you saw for the onboard there with Eberhardt. I mean, he has just been pushing and pushing up top for some time now. And again, if you're just joining us, the last race of the regular season, almost in the final stages, right here tonight for the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series. The Kayla Synthetics leaderboard tells the story. Drivers highlighted in red already know that they will fight for the championship of this year. Drivers in blue know, including those top 2, that they cannot advance to the playoffs no matter what they do tonight. It's the drivers in purple who are the curious ones. Anybody in purple could advance, but some need help. Some only need to maintain points positions. Others need a race win and to get into the top 25. That's a lot of complication within that purple, but it's an easy way to tell who has more at stake here tonight in Daytona Beach. And now that advantage up top has gone down to the inside line. I wonder if these drivers are discussing coming to pit road. They seem pretty cozy up top, but no takers this time. Stanford also going to tuck in line. Stanford has pitted already, so that's why you don't see the 19 on the leaderboard, despite being 4th in line. He's a lapped car.
That outside lane is starting to fall apart as one by one drivers have been cycling down to the inside lane. I'm willing to guess in preparation for upcoming pit stops. Daniel Eberhardt still leading this race. Landon Mills still pushing him as hard as he can right in behind, but it's not going to mean they're going to be able to make that much speed. Grant Davis leads the top lane. Oh, look out! Big loose moment for Landon Mills right at the front of the field. He is able to somehow hang on to it, though. A close call, though, for the number 26 Team Machine.
He was all on his own on the entry to 3. I thought maybe initially it was Andrew Freenosh who got into him, but that was not the case. Just got a little bit squirrely, trying to stay bumper locked with Eberhard, and that little bit of miscommunication has shook things up in the battle for the race lead. Once again, on the right-hand side of your screen, you see the live points. Green is the cut, and as they run now, Cato would be out, Wetmore would be in. Wetmore running in 4th position, Cato down in 31st. That would be a flip. Wetmore, though, the the driver on the edge. If anybody below him were to win this race, he would then be the first driver out. But Tom Wetmore doing his job right now in the number 51 car up on the outside line of the racetrack, has been one of the most impressive rookies in this 2022 class. And just as quick as Davis got the lead away, they're going to snatch it back from him. Eberhard and Mills go high, and they make it look so easy as they get control of the field back.
I like that. That is absolutely ruthless. Eberhard went up just to make sure that Davis would be forced to drop back. While he was doing that, Landon Mills deliberately left the throttle to check out the rest of the inside lane, giving him all the space he needed to make the run on Davis work and get up in front of Dominic Howe. That is proper teamwork, and like I said at the top of the broadcast, it's going to be who can strategize with their team the most. You can tell they were communicating with that one all throughout this run. And all throughout that little move that they had made there, that is absolutely how you do teamwork right there at a super speedway race. That type of action there, that's what wins races.
Dominic Howe's been pretty quiet as well in all of this, but he's kind of tagged along, sitting third with those drivers. Howe not in a position to fight and compete for the championship at this point. The driver at Watertown, Mass, but would love to just close out his year with a win. And he's in a pretty good spot now, leading the outside as Eberhard and the Mills have gone back down to the bottom to defend the charge from Wetmore, pushed by Kevin King. And we haven't talked a lot about Kevin King tonight, Nolan, but want to give him his due. First full-time season here with the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series, and he has by a wide margin secured second in the regular season standings. He is one of three drivers, I should say, with 4 race wins. Him, Brandon Six, and Matt Danson, and has to be on the list, but into the outside wall. We are crashing on the back straightaway, and it is a big hit. I think that's Cohan and Edwards.
Edwards tanked a hit into the outside wall, and you had seen the back end of the number 72 XPM Chevrolet kick up off the ground. That was a tremendous impact up into that outside wall. We'll get a replay of this one here. Nick Cohen moved up David Cobb, and he did get help by Edwards, overcorrected up and into the outside wall, and that tears up both the Toyota and a Chevrolet. It was the right rear broken off of the number 21 and the right front off the 72.
And David Cobb was just making a move high to low, and Cohen had to check up for it. I think he really wasn't sure what he wanted to do. Did he want to go middle? Did he want to stay in line? And that quick lift just didn't really give much time for Chris Edwards to react. And we were talking about Kevin King, and you saw the heavy impact that the 72 car took into the outside wall. Those drivers were doing their job. They were staying in contact with the lead pack, and Edwards' damage is going to be enough to force him to come to pit road via the hook. And unfortunately for him, it looks like his hopes at being competitive in tonight's race are done. That's because, as always, all these Monday night races do not give the drivers any quick repairs like you might see in some other series on the iRacing platform. What you get is what you got, and what he's got is a torn-up race car. Now, if there are any questions about fuel, you got 2 options. You can save the fuel you need under the yellow now, or with overtime looming, you be safe. And here come all of those.
It will be a run for the Battle Beaver cars as Thomas George will be, I believe, the second car is out of pit road. Cody Harris was the first one, though. Landon Mills, he fell back to third. Daniel Eberhard's all the way back at about 6th place. So the Battle Beaver cars have been very much split apart by this pit run here, Evan.
And this has completely flipped the race on its head. You got your top 9 cars who decided to stay out after having pitted under the green flag earlier. Silver, Johnston, Six, Casto, Bowie, Kamer, Cato, Rabel, and Schmidt have all decided to stay out. And Nick Silver, going to assume the race lead, talked about how he is racing tonight for the Santa Barbara Humane Society. I want to talk about Brandon Six for a couple of reasons. Mainly, he's in the top 3 for the first time tonight. Nolan, he has been awfully quiet this afternoon, has Brandon Six, and might not recognize his race car immediately in the field, but it's got a bit of a different look on that 66 Toyota Camry. Tonight he is running in support of the Mamba and Mamba Sita Sports Foundation to help support young boys and girls to have equal opportunities in sports. Of course, that's the foundation supported by the Bryant family. And also, I wanted to give him this moment, Nolan, because last week he secured, mathematically locking up the 2022 regular season championship. So congratulations to Brandon Six on that as well.
Lights out on the pace car, 1 lap to green. As mentioned, Brandon Six taking the championship for the regular season points. And hey, I'm glad for Brandon Six. I mean, he is one of those drivers that we've always been saying over the last few seasons that he absolutely has the potential to fight for a championship, but never really had the ability to go for it. He always managed to befall some sort of bad luck, much like we had seen happen to Agnel Phillip, not just throughout this year, but last year as well, like we've been seeing to Daniel Eberhard in the last few races. But Brandon Six is really coming to form this year, and he has really been stepping up his game. These Gen 7 cars have absolutely played into his favor, and it is what's allowed him to stay in the points lead from almost the drop of the season. And now he looks set to continue that momentum over into the playoffs.
So he will not get the big bonus that Chase Elliott got for winning the NASCAR Cup Series regular season championship. The Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series does not have playoff points, so it's not going to get a big boost, but he'll still lead the playoff standings when we head to Darlington. Per these series rules, the only bonus point you carry into the round of 16, 3 bonus points per regular season race win. So we talked a little bit earlier about the fact that he's got 4 on the year, along with Kevin King and Matt Danson, so all those drivers are going to be starting with 12 bonus points. Not a lot, but should be at least a little bit helpful in their championship hopes. Everybody should be good on a field to the end. It's Nick Silver's turn with 17 laps to go. Green flag back in the air.
Green flag returns as we fire them down off of turn, or into turn number 1 off of the tri-oval. Brandon Six trying to get up and past Michael Johnson as Nick Silver is pulled clear by 2 into turn 1.
And where does Silver go? Does he stay on the inside? Does he go up to block the top side? As that's Michael Johnson leading that charge on the outside of the racetrack. Michael Johnson locked into the playoffs. 4 top 5s, 8 top 10s this year. Still looking for his first win. And here comes that 3rd lane. We haven't seen it much tonight, Nolan, but it is time to batten down the hatches and hold your breath. Chris Rabel leads it. Here comes now Sean Casto to the outside, and it is 3 wide, 7 rows deep down to turn 1.
Johnson's going to check up that middle groove. This is bad news. This could end badly here as we enter turn number 1 once more. Here we go, down to the turn numbers 1 and 2. We're still somehow surviving the 3 wide melee. The top 6 breaking away, though, looking for 4 with William Schmidt almost going down onto the apron, but they're all going to tuck back up in line. Still calamity at Daytona as you've got drivers weaving left and right everywhere. Everybody's trying to link up with everybody else, and this means nobody can link up with anybody.
It is real discombobulated in the middle, and whoever gets a footing first is going to get a real chance to develop something. You know, that 3rd lane was coming strong, but the real kind of shuffle happened when we saw that 52 car go to the outside. When Casto left the middle, it checked the 3rd lane up, and it also broke up the middle lane, and it gave the bottom a big advantage. And everybody on the bottom wanted to go, oh, Johnson's down and into Mills. Sideways off at turn 2. He'll go to the apron. Somehow we stay green. No, we're wrecking spinning to the grass. Couple of cars around, and a yellow finally will come out.
There were multiple different incidents in all of this one. You had one between Tom Moreno along with Nick Cohen and I believe it was actually Mike Kuczynski right behind this pack. And then this one happened when they were all coming back up onto the track. I thought they made it, and they almost did. But 4 wide were coming back up with 2 on the apron. Is not going to work. It was Tim Johnson in the USAA Toyota Camry and the Flow Racing 14 of James Ross that went around, and it was Johnson that went hard into the tire walls used for the road course down there at the bus stop chicane. There's Michael Kuczynski getting up into the outside wall, courtesy of a few of these drivers involved. That was off of the corner, completely unrelated to this incident that put us under caution.
Yeah, they're all, somewhat at fault of one another, but you're right, we did get away with the first scare, and then Johnson trying to blend it back up. The overhead's going to give you a good look, so you'll see the disconnect right there. Johnson gets a touch. He's going to get spun into Mills. Here, I think we're done, right? They save it, but then you can see Johnson goes to the apron, saves it. He's coming up, but you got Harris there. You got the 14. You got the 5. There's no room, but he tries to get up to make the corner, pinches them together, and Tim Johnson has claimed responsibility for the incident. It is a tough break for him because he made heavy contact with the inside wall. Tough one for Tim Johnson. Nolan came into tonight 15th in the points, 16 above the cut line. That has major championship implications.
I'm sorry, but I'm not sure what the thought process was trying to come on up, and you've got so many cars down onto the apron. We got very lucky there that was not worse than it was. I was fully expecting a 20-car pileup. That very easily could have been a 20-car pileup. As we are now under the yellow flag once again with 13 laps to go. This is where it gets intense, right, Evan? We both know the type of chaos that can and will come out of these late race cautions.
And that's why I wasn't all that surprised when drivers opted to take that little bit of extra fuel when they were on pit road, because there's always a really good chance, I should say, that when we come racing here at Daytona, that this thing might go past the scheduled distance, and that's why people are going to want a little bit more. So big break for Tim Johnson, of course, involved in the accident, but also claiming a responsibility for the accident, meaning that he'll get it end of the longest line, a penalty. Again, that is not good for him, who came into tonight 16 points above the cut line. He was ahead of Ross Cato. Cato running in 5th right now is in a really good spot, and Tom Wetmore in 7th is running in a very good position on track. So I would say Tim Johnson is likely below the cut line after being involved in that accident. He'll still have some opportunity to make it up, but it's going to be tough.
So we get set to come back to green as we will continue to work our way through this race. My goodness, what a ride that we have just had in the midst of all of this. You mentioned 8 points between Wetmore and George. You back it up by another 4. You've got Agno Phillip still in the mix, and then in fact Johnston as well at 377 points. So still a very real possibility for a lot of these drivers to find their way in, especially if we get another big wreck like we saw earlier on in this race. It would not surprise me with how these races have a tendency to go. I mean, look at just about every iRacing race that has ever happened when a full field of cars at Daytona when a late race caution comes out. A big one it's practically a guarantee.
Essentially, and we've talked a lot tonight as well about a lot of these special cars. Let's talk about a few more of them as we have the opportunity under the caution flag. And a quick note, Tim Johnson to the garage. That wreck likely to take him out of the playoffs. The cars ahead of him could still wreck out. It's not done yet. But in the live points, Tim Johnson's night is done, and he has gone to the garage. Wanted to talk about the number 12 of Ross Cato, sitting in 5th position at the moment. He is running tonight for Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, is Georgia's leading pediatric healthcare provider with 3 hospitals and multiple neighborhood locations. For more than 100 years, they have been providing pediatrics through groundbreaking research and clinical trials to children in Georgia. So a lot of luck to Ross Ross Cato tonight. He is in the running to not only win a big race, but also get some money donated to the cause that he chose here tonight. Also wanted to mention briefly William Schmidt, who is, also up and in the conversation right there in fourth. You see the different colors on his number 79 machine tonight. He is running tonight supporting the Epilepsy Foundation. Good friend of his and fellow RSR competitor Garrett Hess suffers from epilepsy, and working with him to try to raise money for that cause. A lot on the line, though, for this restart coming up right here, right now, with 11 laps to go, and a lot of playoff fates hanging in the balance. Up front, though, green flag for Nick Silver.
Wrecking big time in 3 and 4. They're washing it up in the background. 5, 7, 9, 10, 12. For 13, they're still wrecking way deep in the field, still crashing into each other as the entire field comes to a stop in turn 2.
And it was a decision on the front row that's going to end up taking out a huge number of cars. And well, I did just say Tom Wetmore's night could be done, but those cars in front of him could wreck out, and a lot of them involved in that accident. It all started on the front row. Not a good start for Brandon Six on his own. He wants to work with the 8 car. The 8 car does not want to work with him. And watch this run. It's going to be a huge run for Kamer. And as he tries to go middle, it's kind of tough, Nolan. Is it a late move for the 8, or is it a block from the 66?
Well, at the end of the day, if you're not alongside, line's technically not yours. If that was a nose-to-tail hit, I think it was a late move from Kamer that just didn't quite pay off. I mean, you have to understand that you can't really make those moves if you still got so long to go. Okay, well, you don't have too long to go, but still, you got 10 laps. You can afford to wait a couple of corners to make that a clean move on the back straight away as the whole track gets blocked. They were wrecking way in the back.
That was a big hit way back there in the 20s.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It looked like they all crashed into each other way in the background with the Flow Racing car back there, the 21, all just trying to avoid all of this.
And you can see a big checkup. I think Cohan might have been, was trying to play it way safe, hit the brakes, got run over, and that's how these big ones happen, right? It's not necessarily everybody being involved because there was a spin that blocked the track. It's you got a wreck, and then a lot of people wreck trying to avoid it, ironically enough.
It's been an interesting run so far throughout this field. It'll be under 10 laps to go when we restart this race. I think you've still got 33 cars on the lead lap somehow. Make that down to 29 as Michael Kuczynski, I believe, will be the next, the last driver now on the lead lap. He started this race over in 33rd. By far the biggest loser of this race so far was Brandon Fetterplace. Just got collected in that wreck. He now goes 1 lap down. He was in second when he started this race. He is all the way down in 37th. But Silver, by far the biggest mover, started 35th. He now leads this race as he looks set to try to take this one away as we run these laps down in the closing stages of this race.
A lot of drivers expressing their frustrations. Color me shocked about that latest incident. And now you're going to get a lot of drivers with damaged cars. This really hasn't been a huge element to this point in the race, Nolan. We saw, one relatively larger incident a bit earlier, but a lot of them have been cars spinning on the apron or cars spinning out of harm's way. And now you're going to have a lot of damaged cars, not to the point of what we saw over the weekend with the Cup Series where there's like 5 in one piece. We could get there. There's a lot of racing and maybe wrecking still to go tonight. But, you're not going to have 20 plus cars in clean condition, and I think people are only going to continue to get more desperate. You're likely to see more moves like the ones we saw in that last restart.
That was not quite the big one that I was expecting, but it is a big one nonetheless. At the end of the day, it's not how it gets caused, it's how many people were involved in it. And safe to say that was just about everybody that was left that was involved in that one. But the good news about that wreck, though, was actually it wasn't all that much of a high-speed crash. Actually, they're all still getting the speed. They were probably only going about 150 or so when they actually got to the point of that accident, which means nobody really got a whole lot of damage out of that. I mean, you look at Thomas George, who got a face full of that incident. He's only got a small ding on the front end of his Sirius XM Mustang. He can easily still go out and try to win this race.
And that's big for Thomas George, who comes into tonight with two options. He could win his way into the playoffs. He could still points his way in. So even a good night would be plenty for him. Kyle Kamer was at the center of that incident. Of course, he is, though, still at the center, battling for the race win behind the wheel of that number 8 machine tonight. There he is up on the outside of the racetrack in fourth with damage. We'll see how he runs. He's running tonight in support of the Health Net Hustle 5K run and walk. All proceeds from that walk go to their Homeless Initiative program, which is a nonprofit organization that helps homeless persons in the Indianapolis area. We've talked about Brandon Six tonight as well, the good that he is doing for the Mamba and Mambasita Sports Foundation. There's the 66 car right there. Wanted to talk about Garrett Hess as well, one of the drivers who is running a paint scheme here tonight. He is a little bit back in the line. There he is running for the DAV, the Disabled American Veterans Foundation, and he is actually supporting several causes here tonight. But he was very simple in why he chose to run with the DAV on his car tonight. He says because our heroes deserve help, and he is racing in support of them and still in position to possibly win here tonight in Daytona. So the base car going to dive down and in this time for what could be the final time tonight. 7 laps left before we go playoff racing this season, and Nick Silver still in control from the front row. Green flag back in the air.
Green flag flies. William Schmidt takes off and is off and running after Nick Silver, who is all the way up in first. Brandon Bowie did not get going. He'll linger on that top shelf. Thomas George desperately trying to get something going on that top line. The top 4, though, breaking away. Kamer, Six, Schmidt, and Silver all in the line. Dylan Jones looking at the top. It's a late block there by the number 66 of Brandon Six, and that's going to completely discombobulate this lead pack.
And caution to flag out, Reckied behind, and it all started with that big check up to the outside. Andrew Freenosh has claimed responsibility for the incident, but the driver who I immediately saw involved, Garrett Hess. We were just talking about him driving for the Disabled American Veterans Group, and you can see the tail end of it with him spinning there. But let's watch where this started. The outside, it was real slow. I think that was the 51 car of Wetmore, who is really slow. Freenosh trying to help him out. I mean, he must have missed the shift or something, but Freenosh just trying to speed him up, right? Let's go, let's go, let's go. He's also getting pushed and just drove through the 51, spun him out, and Hess gets collected.
That is unfortunate. That is not something you see all too often. I mean, I can understand it. Andrew Freenosh realizes he's got to go, but you also have to understand from Tom Wetmore's perspective, he was already slow. He's got a lot of damage on the front end as it is. He is off power. That's why he went, you know, he was up in that third lane. Take a listen, you'll hear it. Yeah, all that damage on the front end just doesn't get him going at all. Everybody files through one after the other, and unfortunately that means with the guys behind, there's just nothing you can do about it except, well, either wait behind or drive through him. And obviously, with how fast the other guys are going, they can't afford to wait behind him, because if they do, you're going to find yourself slamming over into the inside wall and potentially even losing out the draft if you manage to make it through cleanly.
So another incident slows things down. This time the Reckied was behind, and again the running order shuffles up with that quick eject courtesy of Kamer to leave the outside to get to the bottom. Really benefited the likes of Jones, Lariah, and Tice, who are able to pick up some positions. I believe as well, joined now by the third member of our broadcast team, Terry Radford, joining us in the RaceSpotTV booth. Terry, I'd say you missed a lot, but I think you may be tuning in just in time, because there is a lot on the line for a late race Daytona restart.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I hate that I missed part of it, but don't worry. Fan Me was actually watching. I was trying to simultaneously do two things at once, spot for iRacing, and then come over here to do this. I'm not surprised to see William Smith up here, Kyle Gamer, Dylan Jones, the likes of the drivers that need to win their way into the playoffs. They're up here battling for it. But a guy like Nick Silver leading this race shows me that he's hungry to get momentum to go in, already locked to the playoffs. He's just out here for fun. He could block his way to this win. If he wrecks, who cares? We'll see him next week at Darlington. He'll race for a championship.
And very different things on the line for these drivers. Look at Silver, up 34 spots from where he started. Joseph Tice up 29, but Nick Silver's locked in, right? And he's here for momentum. William Schmidt in that purple category entered tonight 11 points below the cut line. Tom Wetmore involved in recent incidents, some issues as well with Tim Johnson. It means that he may not necessarily need to win the race. He may be able to points his way in. So there is, a lot on the line and a lot in the air, Nolan. It's not an exact science. I can't tell you this driver needs to finish in X, Y, and Z to advance. We will not know until a couple minutes after the checkered flag for sure who made it, who didn't make it, right at that cut line. But the easiest way to dispel any of those questions is take that checkered flag home.
It's going to be a very big challenge, though. I mean, Daytona has historically been one of the more difficult tracks to win races on. Not more so the fact that you have a hard time getting up to the lead and staying fast. It's a problem you have to worry about everybody else that's hounding you right behind. It's very, very different when you've got 30-plus drivers right behind you, all chomping at the bit, all trying to get you to move, or you will be moved. And last lap wrecks, especially this late in the race, are very much not uncommon. Neither are green-white checkered finishes, and we might be getting one or the other. I have a feeling we could even get both of them as we're lights out the pace car with 1 to green.
I kind of thought that all week, Nolan, that that Daytona and Talladega was a more of a luck game. I've won twice this week. One of them I won on pure luck, and I mean I won on absolute pure luck, my man. And the other one, straight domination. Stayed up front all race long, pushed a driver to almost a 14-second lead over third. Took the lead, won the race. So it's a guessing game. You're right. There's 30 people chomping at the bit, and there's a lot of drivers back here all the way back to the 20th position that have to win, Evan, to get into these playoffs. I don't think I missed a whole lot because we're about to get some more racing.
Who'd have thought, after all the hundreds, if not thousands of laps that we've seen over the course of the first 19 races of the year, that for so many of these drivers, your playoff fate would be decided in the final 3. But I'm sure a lot of them thought that it might come down to this, and now it's time to decide, do you have what it takes to fight for a championship in 2022? Pace car off it in. Nick Silver has been real comfortable from the inside of the front row as he takes the green flag. 3 laps to go in Daytona.
Immediately, Will Schmidt's going to clear down to the bottom from Brandon 6. Kyle Kamer trying to force a hole, but there's nowhere to go. In the number 8 Ford Mustang, he's going to have to tuck in line with Michael Araya, but now Laraya's going to give him a push through 1 and 2 as we hit the back straightaway for the third to final time tonight. 6 trying to push Schmidt up to get to the leaders. We're wrecking again. Kyle Kamer going around to the inside. They save it up front, but not in the bag. We're wrecking again. 7, 9, and still piling it up. It's going to be overtime from Daytona.
What did I tell you, Evan? I might have missed the first 70 laps, but there's going to at least be 3 more, and then potentially 3 more after that. That block all started up here. The 4 got a massive, and I mean a massive lead over the 79. The 44, Michael Araya, just wanted to push Kyle Kamer to say, okay, we got to go. I cannot sit here and ride behind you, and then a wreck just triggered. Checkup after checkup. People, you can't lift too much in these cars, and you also can't yank the wheel. It tends to happen. You see 3 wide back here. You can't really move. It's Daytona. It's a self-cleaning track. They're going to clean themselves into you. 2 cars gets loose there. They both save it, so they're still in this race, and the rest behind them, it just turns into a junkyard all the way back. The 95 of Berg, he gets all destroyed. The 31's destroyed. It's a big old grave line back here at Daytona.
On board with Matt Danson in the Logitech Altis entry from back in traffic. You can see he sees the wreck coming, wants to go low. Boom! Surprise! Nowhere for him to go to avoid that one. That is a massive hit for him, and another caution flag will slow things down. And again, you're right, it wasn't the initial contact that wrecked it, they saved it. But when you got cars pushing on each other's bumper, when you can't see ahead of you and somebody lifts, you're immediately getting turned from behind. It is simply a product of pack racing here on the super speedway. Mike Kaczynski gets involved in that accident. His entire team racing tonight with Sid Survivor's awareness. Tom Wetmore, we've talked extensively about him tonight and how he's trying to make some noise here late in this one. He's going to be forced to pit road with damage. He's running for the TLC Breast Cancer Foundation. He gets torn up a little bit, so more drivers to pit road. Looks like Stanford and K-List will go to the garage. That means that championship picture continues to shuffle as it changes lap by lap.
What a race this has developed into. I mean, we went basically caution-free for the first, what was it, 60 laps, give or take. We had one early on, and then right in the middle of that pit cycle, we had our second one, and well, it's been this ever since. Stop, start type of racing here. And it's been exciting nonetheless. I mean, these wrecks really have been the epitome of go big or go home, but no doubt we still have a little bit more within these guys. Yeah, and we've still got some more racing as well. I am maintaining faith that we're going to get a solid super speedway finish here out of tonight's race as Nick Silver continues to hang on, courtesy of William Schmidt, who will once again start to the outside. It was Dylan Jones that he's going to have to get in front of this time around if he wants to link up with Silver to keep him up there in the race lead.
Well, the craziest part is, Nolan, we just saw the points go up on the side. There's still a points battle going on, too. There could be one driver that makes this in on points like we saw in the Real Life Cup Series, where it literally came down to that final restart. It came down to who could hang with the draft and who could pass who at what time. This race is far from over. Now, while we're under a green-white checkered, we could lose 90% of this field. And don't think for a second, I was pushing last night, for heaven's sakes, and I thought I was going 2 for 2 in C fixed. I'm pushing a guy that I had no clue if he could take a push or not. I'm not too sure if William Schmidt knows if he could get on Nick Silver's bumper and push him hard all the way around the whole lap. I pushed this guy all the way into turn 1. He lost it, wrecked us both. We went from 1-2 to 23rd, 24th. We're tail end Charlie's back there, and you don't know. A lot of these drivers, too, have not been up front with the likes of Nick Silver, Landon Mills. These are, I would say, Evan, they really haven't been here in this position.
And we know every time we come to a racetrack like this that everybody's going to have an opportunity to fight for the race win. Again, there's about 36 different scenarios, right? Do I need to win the race? Do I need to points my way in? Do I need to win and to get points to get top 25? Can I not lose? I mean, there are so many different situations. This is where having that large support group, those teams behind you, Nolan, letting you know where you sit can be helpful. And kudos to anybody who's trying to update their driver on where they sit, because I couldn't tell you. Throw a dart at a dartboard and make a guess, because there are a lot of people who still don't know if they'll be fighting for a title.
Coming around through turns 3 and 4, it is all going to come down to what could be a very intense last couple of laps here. It is RSR overtime, and Nick Silver will have to do his best if he wants to stay on top of the Kayla Synthetic leaderboards. One caution before we get to the white flag. We'll go over round number 2. Once that white flag is taken, though, everything that is out there will go. We've got 2 more attempts in the bag. Silver will enter the Geico restart. So we're back to green flag racing at Daytona.
That was a really good restart for Nick Silver, and William Schmidt had really nothing for it. He's not going to be able to clear down here because Dylan Jones is right to the back bumper of it. But Michael Araya giving a massive push to the outside lane. They're starting to move. Landon Mills in the 26. He's up there. Hey, Evan, he texted me this afternoon and said, watch your boy. I'm going to be aggressive.
He's in a good spot. Meanwhile, Dominic Howe to a third lane. He drops back a little bit. Now it's William Schmidt who gets pushed to the race lead. And Mills is up top on his own. Kamer Lariah.
Oh,
there we go. Big crash in 3. Side by side for the lead. And at the top of the yellow, William Schmidt may be your race leader. But there goes the rest of the field.
Well, we were waiting for the last 25 or so cars get eliminated. There they went. I was thinking the entire way down the backstretch. We were weaving and dodging. I was waiting for that. It was going to be one wrong push, and sure enough, that push came in the form of Lariah trying to side draft with Kyle Kamer. That got him out of shape. He went down into silver. That kicked off a chain reaction, and it turned turn 3 from a racetrack to a junkyard as 15 plus cars all get collected.
All they need right there, Nolan, is a grill and a case of beer, and you got a block party down there, because you see the 52 gets to the back bumper here. All of these drivers pushing for dear life. They're not lifting. They ain't checking up. You see a wreck, you drive in that sucker. Side draft down here between Lariah into Jones and into Silver. Chain reaction happens. 88's around. 2's in at 4. There's just get a dice and just start rolling it. You'd hit a number that was in this wreck.
Here's from the front row, the side-by-side fight for the race lead. Nick Silver loses it as Lariah pushes Schmidt around. And then behind, you'll see the door slam right there. Lariah slow, tries to side draft, gets knocked in. And Nick Silver survived how many restarts, Nolan, as your race leader without issue? But finally ran out of luck.
Where do you go in a situation like that? You just can't go anywhere. You saw Silver obviously getting beaten around like a pinball in the middle of all of that one. He was right in the middle of the track. He was being collected by guys that were going high and guys that were going low. Silver was trying to weave left and right, trying to hang on to whatever spots he could. We're right on board with Kevin King, now sitting in 20th place in his team, Chevrolet. See if maybe he got through this one. Oh, definitely not. He actually almost rolled over twice, once off the wall and once off of the apron. So that was what we did at Cat Initial Looks. That's why I like these multiple looks. You often see things like we tend to miss when it's on live.
I'm telling you right now, this race is far from over. You give me 3 green-white checkered attempts, 7P. Or wait, what are we calling him? What's Evan Postotcar. I will wreck this whole field to win at Daytona. Hell, I've already wrecked the field at Daytona for a win here. I'll do whatever it takes. If I'm the 79, if I'm the 34, if I'm the 5, if I'm the 28, I don't care if I'm locked into playoffs. Boys, I'm wrecking whoever's in that lead coming off of 4. If it takes a bad bump, a hard bump, an out of control bump, you going in the wall, you're going up the track. I want the win. It's Daytona.
And again, somehow, Landon Mills is in front of the field. I could have sworn that it was Schmidt on the inside, but the iRacing surface says that it was Mills in front and in control of the field. So because of that, he will be the control car. Could be good, could be bad. He could choose if he wanted to be inside or outside. However, he is going to be at a slight disadvantage, and when you take a look at the battle towards that cut line, things are tight and they are fluid as they continue to bounce up and around 389, 388 between those two. So this, again, is not decided until the very, very end of the race, and I promise we will bring you those official playoff standings before we go off the air here tonight in Daytona Beach. However, Nolan, lights are out again. We'll try it again. Attempt number 2 out of 3 coming up next.
And once again, same rules apply. If you make it to the white flag, anything goes. Anywhere before that, though, we'll go to round number 3 of overtime, as this has been quite the way to end off this race. I was going through trying to find if there was anybody that made it through that wreck. I kid you not, if you were to talk about nobody that got into any part of that incident, no contact whatsoever, Garrett Hess, I believe, was the only one that was in the main pack that got through that. Everybody else, whether being fully spun around or just a little ding here or there, was collected in some way, shape, or form. That is absolutely incredible.
Anybody feeling bold and want to make a choice here? Anybody want to make a pick?
Heck no. I'll take the pace car. I'll take the sedan out front.
There's a decent chance it'll be the first one that sees the checkered flag if we burn through the next two restart attempts or not. You got Mills on the inside, Schmidt up top, Dylan Jones and Brandon Bowie on row 2. Then it is Joseph Tice and Cody Harris on 3, Thomas George, Sam Nieto row 4, Tom Wetmore and Bradley Burke inside of the top 10. Pace car down and in, green, white checker, attempt number 2.
Off of the tri-oval, once again trying to survive turns 1 and 2. Up to the top shelf goes Landon Mills, trying to fend off William Schmidt, trying to get some momentum on that outside lane. Dylan Jones is coming up with a head of steam of the 0-2 car on the bottom side, but there goes the top. William Schmidt's linked up with Landon Mills. He's going to stick with it down the backstretch. No, he won't. Looks to the inside for the race lead.
Oh, and they all go with him. Bowie goes with him. Harris is going to go with him. Harris goes around. Harris is around. Tice is with him. Oh, 28's in the wall. Is that going to bring the caution out? Oh,
It will.
Sedan's going to win this race. We ain't making it back. We ain't making it back after the checker flag.
Almost got away with that one, and more of the runners up front going to get taken out, and that caution has to come from race control after 3 drivers were involved. There it is, down and across. 3 of them off and into the grass. Harris into the inside wall. Cody Harris, fortunately, came into tonight locked into the playoffs in the 28 car up and the outside. Again, he's in 4th, right? He's desperate. He wants to find a way to go. He got Schmidt down to the inside, and when they start pushing, he just tried to clear himself, and he wasn't there. And Dylan Jones in the 5 were right below him, and Tice as well collected. That's a hard hit to the 28.
You know, some people might be eager to try to blame the driver furthest on the bottom, Joseph Tice, and making it 3 wide, but you have to understand, I mean, Tice held his line, Jones held his line, Harris did not. That's solely on the car that was up on the top shelf. You saw right there, Joseph Tice did absolutely nothing to cause that. In fact, he was a bystander in the whole wreck. He was just trying to go for a 3-wide move. Would that have caused something down to turn 3? Probably, with how little room is being left, but point is, we didn't get that far, and Cody Harris will be the one to bring out this latest yellow flag. So far, though, going unclaimed for the most part of this, so...
I can't remember the last time someone claimed one tonight, to be honest. There's going to be a lot of post-race reviews coming up.
Well, it was actually Andrew Freedhoff when he caused his incident some time ago, and that was actually the caution before the green-white checker, which was, what, 20 laps to go, give or take?
Lap 73 was the one that Andrew Freenosh claimed. We have not had anybody claim the lap 78, 82, or lap 86 incidents.
I ain't claiming nothing. I'm telling you
Let
now.
her eat.
Yeah, let her eat. Let's go. I mean, listen, every one of these drivers right now, Smith ain't got no win. Bowie sitting there chilling, no win. George, no win. Nieto, got a win. I mean, if you're sitting in the catbird seat right now, and this is just me, and I ain't playing favorites here, at 51, because everybody else, it seems like, might wreck each other. Mills is aggressive. We just watched him take it 3 wide, trying to take the lead, threw massive blocks from the bottom to the top, was content to just make any move possible to win this race. Brandon Bowie ain't lifting. Smith ain't lifting. You know good and dang well that Sam Nieto's not lifting. I would say the 51, the 39, and the 95. If I could just make 3 picks, those picks to win. One of them 3.
So we were talking about people claiming incidents over the course of the night, and we haven't had a whole lot of incidents that have required claim over the course of the night until, that is, Terry decided to join us up here in the broadcast booth for tonight's race.
Now he's the jinx.
Yeah, you see, I do race control for another league that I help run, right? Well. While I'm not too familiar with how rules work for the commentators' curses, I'm just saying I'm sensing a pattern here.
I think the commentator's curse is a universal application.
I feel like these drivers heard or watching this broadcast, they heard me and they said, throw caution to the wind, boys. We want to wreck. We got to wreck. We've got to have a new winner.
Well,
I'm telling you.
I think what they were supposed to hear was throw caution to the wind, but all they heard was throw cautions.
That's all they heard. That's all. Well, most drivers don't hear much anyhow. My spotter told me I wasn't clear. All I heard was clear, and so I went down. He might have said not before, and I heard clear, made the move. I win the race. Who cares? I want to see a new winner so bad. That's why I forced to come in and finish this race, because I feel it in my bones that there's a new winner here tonight. There's going to be an Austin Dillon type race that's going to finish this, and I hope it's William Schmidt. I hope it's one of these drivers that's here, because it's got to happen.
Schmidt came in minus 11 to the cut. Could have points his way in. Could win his way in. Brandon DeBuey came in locked in to the championship. Thomas George came into tonight. Could have points his way in. Could win his way in. So if William Schmidt or Thomas George win the race, they're in the playoffs. I mean, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. They don't need to win it. They may have enough points where they run to get the job done due to some of the struggles that cars above them in the standings have had tonight. But the one way to be 100% certain is to win this race. And they're right there. Mills, it doesn't matter to. Wetmore is in a position as well where, it's not a huge factor because he was on the bubble as well. So he likely will have enough points to get the job done, but a win would also guarantee it. So there are all these different factors, but of your cars in the top 5, 3 of them guarantee themselves into the playoffs if they win it right here, right now. Third and final attempt at a green-white checker overtime finish, green flag, and a slow start for the inside.
Heck no, that wasn't a slow start, Evan. He's working with Bowie. They're tag teaming it.
George tries to go down
George there. George going to go to the outside. Mills going to go 3 wide, and now the sucker hole for William Schmidt. He's going to need to get picked up by Michael Johnson. Johnson now gives a shove. It's Mills, then Wetmore. Back it up, spinning down the back straightaway. They're going to wreck. Landon Mills is in front at the time of the caution, so there will be no walk-off victory.
Flaring amongst the field.
That was wild. I honestly thought when the caution, when the wreck started happening, that I thought that the 51 was in second. But the smartest thing that Dominic Howell and Tom Morano did, they didn't lift. They saw the wreck. They didn't care. And that's a winning attitude, because nobody lift. And with Tom Wetmore, well, it's showing him now showing him P3. This is wild. What happened?
What a finish that would be. You got Tom Morano and Tom Wetmore in the fight for second position. You talk about drivers, taking advantage. I don't think anybody put a 4-way parlay on a Wetmore-Morano 2-3. To cash out $900,000 like we saw over the weekend. But what a finish. This will come down to Landon Mills is going to end up crossing the start-finish line to take the checkered flag, and Landon Mills wins at the Daytona International Speedway. But Tom Wetmore second. That is big for his championship. And how about a podium for Tom Morano, plus 36 spots on the night.
Let's go.
Holy cow. What a finish for this race, as we'll get a look at the entire restart from the drop of the green flag all the way up to when that yellow flag dropped. And we'll unpack how William Schmidt found himself falling down to the end of this race. You can see Schmidt looking high, looking low, is trying to block both lines at once. He sees George coming at the rub, moves all the way up top, tries to then block him right back down the low side, then sees Landon Mills coming up with a head steam. Immediately goes to try to block him. That was the mistake. He tried to block too many lines at once. He got caught in the sucker hole. Nobody wanted to work with him, and he was going to get caught in the middle line here as they fired down the back straightaway, and was the 51 of Wetmore getting into it. I think that was Kamer off of the back straightaway, and as they wreck off the back straightaway, you see Laura exit stage left, and everybody gets completely washed up in some way, shape, or form in the major incident.
I tell you what, watching these drivers, that's some Days of Thunder stuff. You start seeing all these boys that just went through here wide open. They didn't lift it, flinch. Look at this. Bam, bam, and then gets popped.
Almost did it.
Oh, bam. That's a hit. But them boys up here, the 45, he didn't lift. The 5 didn't lift. I don't think the 5 gave much crap. What was in front of him? He was going to ride that sucker to the end. Dominic Cal was there. It's huge, Evan.
Landon Mills celebrates as he becomes the 85th different race winner in the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series all time in just his 4th career start. He leads the podium ahead of Roadhouse Motorsports' Tom Wetmore in the 51 car and Tom Morano in the 45 for Sletton Construction Racing. Round out your podium. We hope to get a word with all of them in just a few moments. Joseph Tice and Dominic Cow round out your top 5 with Garrett Hess, Ross Cato, Connor Horn, William Schmidt, and Sean Casto, the top 10.
That will leave then Andrew Friedosh in 11th place with Jared Wymister back in 12th. Sam Vieto will finish in 13th with Michael Johnson in 14th. Brandon Bowie was in 15th. Bradley Berg worked his way up from 40th place on the grid to finish in 16th. Dylan Jones was the last car on the lead lap to finish in 17th. It was a bad race for Brandon Fetter place after he started in 2nd. He'll finish 1 lap down in 18th. Thomas George was even further back, 2 down in 19th. Michael O'Brien also not joining the group of cars that did not finish this race, which is unfortunately more than the guys that did. Will be down in 20th.
Yeah, looking back here at the used car lot selection here, you got Christian Malitrek finishing 21st, Cody Harris 22nd, Kyle Kamer 23rd, Brandon 6th down there in 24th, Eric Papineau in 25, Kevin King 26th, Manatzi Major 27th, Nick Silver 28th, and Matt Danson is going to round out your top 30.
And continuing on through a mixed bag for the drivers. 31st on the pack, Chris Rabel, Mike Kuczynski, Sean Kalis, Derek Stanford, and David Kolb. Through the 35th position, Daniel Eberhard, Agadol Phillip, James Ross, Nick Cohan, Tim Johnston through 40th, Edwards, Whitaker, Chambliss, unable to make the scheduled distance. A lot of drivers going to be leaving Daytona thinking about what could have been. Here was the perspective, though, from Tom Morano as he went through the middle lane. They're going to start wrecking it in front of him. You saw so many drivers find a way through. Well, look at that. The seas parted and almost got to 2nd before the yellow came out, giving Wetmore that 2nd spot. But it is a podium position for Tom Morano, which is very impressive. Still waiting on some of the drivers to come chat with us. I believe Tom Wetmore is the first driver that will be available to speak with. So, Nolan, let's see if we can chat with the driver of the number 51 car.
We will most certainly be able to get the chance to talk to Tom Wetmore, finishing 2nd place, runner-up by 67 thousandths of a second. And Tom, you had Morano running you down there as they wrecked behind you. What was your reaction, though, as you saw all that smoke start to fly both in front and then behind as we hit that last lap?
I tell you, I think this Tube Tech Chevy bending some tubes, man. I think we bent every side of this race car trying to put this thing into the playoffs. And guys, I got to be honest, I don't know. I'm just getting out of the car. Did I make it?
Well, Evan, even he doesn't know that one, so he is working to confirm that right now. We'll see if even potentially we can get that in before you leave the booth tonight. But if not, you'll know within a few minutes of leaving that booth. But I'll tell you what, it was certainly close throughout this field. But for you as a race overall, it was just absolute chaos out there in this race, especially in the later portions. What goes through a driver's mind when you have to, work your way through all of the carnage that starts to, just befall late race super speedway racing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys saw it early in the broadcast. It was run up front, get the point for leading the lap, and then try to get back and save the car. And fortunately, the Auto Warranty USA guys were protecting us on board, but I tell you, you just can't stay safe at these super speedways no matter how hard you try, especially when you're convinced in your mind that you need a win to get in. And I hope the fans at home really enjoyed it, because it was a ton of fun, but man, was that stressful. And we certainly wadded one up for the graveyard tonight trying to put this thing on P2 podium. So.
And Nolan, just wanted to jump in, Tom, unofficially in the standings that you are in to the playoffs by an 8-point margin. Congratulations.
Let's go. That's exactly what we needed to see. I tell you, all the guys, Garage Moon Power down in Atlanta, Georgia, and everyone at Tube Tech here in Fort Wayne, and an international company, but just coming on board this e-racing car to be able to support us, man. All season, that was the goal with our partners on board, was to make it to the playoffs in our first season here. And it's one of the hardest fields in sim racing, so to have the opportunity to be able to race with the best of them, a little bit of Terry's Tennessee Orange must have brought us some luck tonight. So that's it, baby. A heck of a lot, baby. That's it. Let's go.
So with that being said, next race up, now that you're officially in, it's Darlington. Haven't been there since May. It's a difficult track in of its own right. What's going to be the plan to see if you can work your way up and make it to the round of 12?
Hey man, we made it this far. We're going for broke now, so might as well go advance to the round of 12, 8. Why not make it all the way to the end, boys? What do you think?
I would certainly be down to see that one. It's about time somebody usurped Andrew Freenosh from the RSR throne. Well, hopefully we'll be seeing you up there and maybe even in victory lane over the next few races. Thank you for joining us here tonight, Tom, and we'll let you get back to celebrating. Congratulations.
Thanks so much, Nolan. Definitely couldn't have been done it tonight without the TLC Breast Cancer Foundation coming on board for this one race you guys put on, and it means so much to be able to do this. My mom's in the chat cheering me on, I can just now see, and she benefited from that foundation. So again, appreciate all you guys, appreciate everything you guys do.
That was Tom Wetmore joining us here from second place after he had a solid run. We'll move down to the winner who gained the most spots out of anybody tonight. Evan, you're standing by with Landon Mills.
Yeah, the stats will say it is a 25% career winning percentage. That's because it is fourth start. He is a winner in the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series. Landon, congrats on the win. No shock you guys had the speed. Saw you working a lot with Daniel early in this one, but once he dropped out of the race, you were still there. You're still strong, working hard to control the lanes. Just tell us about this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's that was definitely a race. I was in shock pretty much the whole time because random stuff kept happening where, it started off and we were 5 seconds back from the pack and then caught the pack and I couldn't go anywhere, and then I got with Daniel and then we just controlled and kind of screwed up pit strategy and got involved in wrecks, and then just back at the end you didn't know what was happening. So very eventful race to say the least. I still don't really know what I could have done differently, and I think I made some bad decisions that I do regret. In the end, it worked out, so I'll take that. But yeah, it was a very eventful race. I felt like, especially at the end, I was able to put myself in a very solid position. Even when I felt like I maybe would have made a wrong move, I was able to kind of counter that and squeeze up and switch lanes, and then either get the momentum or avoid a wreck or something. So it kind of worked out at the end, but extremely happy for that. I mean, that's awesome. It's just, wow, it's crazy to win. It's hard to win in the series, and we did it tonight, so I'm happy.
You're the 85th different name who's done it in the 10, 11 plus year history of this Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series. Some races at Daytona, I won't say tame, but some of them are a little bit more structured. And this race even started that way with only 2 yellows in the opening 60. But after that, things got really messy. A lot of pushing, a lot of side drafting, and a lot of wrecking. What was it like from behind the wheel trying to balance, A, trying to win the race, but also B, trying to be smart and avoid where you could see issues like that developing?
Yeah, I think from an early point, it was apparent that you could not pass. I've ran races here this week, and it's been very easy to pass, and they were just very, very settled, very in a spot, comfortable, and you couldn't move. You could try to get out on the right rear and pass them, but that's risky because you're 3 wide, and someone might squeeze you in the fence. So it was not very, I had very little control, especially in the midsection of that race, especially starting from the back. I could not make moves to the front. There was not a clear path. And it kind of changed when I was able to get low, and I just knew as long as I was second car in line, I could make whatever lane I wanted to work. And I hooked up with Schmidt. We got to the lead, and then I was able to work with Daniel, who was leading. And then from there on, it was just about controlling and getting good bumps, and then that's where it was. But like you said, it definitely changed there in the last quarter of the race. There was a lot of take, not a lot of give. There's a lot of bad bumps, a lot of pretty bad decisions. So just trying to stay smart, try to stay calm, and it kind of worked out. Especially, kind of ironically, I was in one of those big wrecks and I thought my race was over. Come out and then I'm clear of a huge wreck and get back inside the top 10. So just stuff like that worked out my way. But it's Daytona, so it's kind of whatever happens. And tonight, whatever happened, it seemed to be good for us. So happy about that.
We also now know the 16 drivers who will be fighting for the championship this year. Of course, your part-time schedule means the race win's not going to put you in that conversation, but you guys are still a threat to run well and to get race wins for the rest of the year. So what's the outlook for you in the 2016? What are you trying to accomplish out of these next 10 races?
I'm always trying to help my teammates. Extremely happy to be dominant, team-wide throughout the super speedways. I believe we've swept every single race, kind of reminisce back to the DEI cars. That's what Daniel is kind of quoting. So showed speed there. We've been dominant there. We've gotten it done. So I'm happy with that. But as far going into the races that I'm participating in, just trying to help whoever I'm working with on my team get in the best possible position to hopefully win championships. So right now I think Kevin's in that spot, and we're going to try to get him the best situation possible. So however that comes, we're just going to try to help and try to get him moving forward. So that's the game plan moving forward. It is very unfortunate that Daniel was involved in one of those things. He was very fast like always and had a good connection with them. So unfortunate to see he'll be most likely missing the playoffs. So wanted to get him a win, wanted to get him to lead a lot of laps. So kind of bummed out about that, but just looking for race wins, looking to help my teammates. And tonight that our Battle Beaver Chevy was very fast, so we'll take that and hopefully carry momentum into the other races that we participate in.
Well, we look forward to seeing what you and the rest of the team have in store for us for the rest of the year, Landon. It's a treat watching your race here on Monday nights. Congratulations on the win, which may be the first of many. Looking forward to what's to come, but we'll catch you next week.
Yeah, it's hopefully the first of many. It was a very fun race. I appreciate everybody tuning in. And big shout out to Tom. Tom's the man. He finished second. So that's big for him. I'm really happy for him. And, having my sponsor finish right behind me, looking down on the relative, is pretty cool. So definitely very happy about that. And congratulations to him and everybody at the rest of the team. Hard-fought race.
It's your race winner tonight here from iRacing's virtual Daytona International Speedway. Landon Mills is your race winner of the Racing for a Cause 200, his first career win in the Full Throttle RealSimRacing Cup Series. Talking about milestone moments, Tom Morano is on the podium here tonight at Daytona, and Terry is trackside with him.
Tom Morano, you must either be the luckiest person here at Daytona, or you're the most talented across the board, because you missed the biggest wreck of the night and you get to P3 and you were inches from P2.
How about that? Just a lot of guys messed up tonight and screwed up and gave me an opportunity to be up front. And yeah, you're right. It's a lot of luck. But that's fun. That's what Daytona is. It's luck, right? And hell, Michael Waltrip won a lot of races at Daytona by being lucky. Not a great driver. And this series has some of the best drivers on iRacing. We all know that. And for me to be on podium for the first time in 8 years, there's a lot of goddamn luck there.
I'm so sorry.
I want to know how Whitmore passed me on the on the pace lap. I don't know. I guess I don't know the rules there. So
this is probably the best interview I've ever done. Oh, I love you. I don't know how you made it through it, but you were literally. We looked at the replay, and you were a fingernail away from P2 there to get it, and that was the time of the caution. Caution came out. He was like a fingernail in front of you. But what was going through your mind when that wreck happened? Because it was like Moses was parting the sea with a staff, and the water was moving every direction, and you're just like, full throttle, let's go.
Oh, I was holding the tablets. I wasn't thinking anything. I just held the throttle because it was the last lap, and I knew there wasn't another green-white checker, and I figured, what the hell, I usually wreck anyway, so you might as well go through. And somehow I don't know. It wasn't driving skills, I can tell you that.
Oh my gosh, we could be best friends across the board. Tom Morano, P3 here tonight. It feels like a win. It feels like I'm talking to the winner right here. I'm excited.
Oh, it is a win.
This is massive.
Me. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Are you kidding me?
I like it.
I think I finished once in the top 10 in 8 years. So let's throw it out there. So
let's throw a party.
Let's do it.
Evan's got the planes. Nolan, I'm pretty sure you got the beer, right?
Yeah, hell yeah. Oh, yeah, hell yeah.
Everybody's got the beer here. Let's party. Yeah. Tom Morano finished third, boys.
All right. Hey, it was great, man. You guys do an awesome job with this series. Evan, I've known Evan for a long time. Big supporter of this series, and I love racing with everybody on here, you know. You couldn't ask for a better series to be part of on iRacing.
Well, we love having you, and I love interviews like this because I get to be a child.
Hell yeah.
And you were absolutely incredible to talk to, Tom Morano. Thank your sponsors before we send you on.
Battle Beaver, Boosted. Want to shout out to Landon for putting the Battle Beaver on victory lane. Good job there, bud. And charity, something here that's local for like Evan and I is Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth. They do a great job with the homeless youth here in our city, and I donated some money, so definitely go to that. And I thank you guys. You guys are awesome.
Well, we appreciate you, and congratulations on your P3 here tonight. And guess what? You got a top 5 finish, my man. You have a good one.
All right, you too, Brad.
Your third place finisher tonight from the Daytona International Speedway. A great drive for Tom Morano. Of course, longtime RSR viewers will remember that back in the 2020 Real Sim Racing Icebreaker Winter Series, that series was in support of the Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth, and a great part, again, of one of the many drivers supporting all of the charities tonight, gentlemen. And listen, I feel like we could spend an hour breaking down what happened on the last restart, what happened in the last half of the race. One thing I can promise you is there are a lot of angry drivers, and that's always the case when you go racing at a plate track, but especially when that plate track determines this. The playoff grid has now been set to fight for the Full Throttle Cup in 2022. You can see the bonus points handed out, 3 apiece for race wins, so a little bit of a head start for the likes of Six King and Dancing guys, but look at the bottom. A change in the final race saw Johnston and Cato drop out, saw Wetmore jump in. So it is, a big swing there for a couple of those drivers at the very bottom of the standings. And have about Tom Wetmore gets that P2, guys. He's in. It's momentum and confidence can do a lot, Nolan, as we look to start the championship fight next week.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be one heck of a championship fight indeed as we get set to go for a 3-race stint. We'll start it off at Darlington, then it'll be Kansas, and then, of course, why not? Well, let's just wrap it up with one more track that's known for chaos, the Bristol Motor Speedway, for the playoff cut race for the round of 12. But you've got 3 very unique tracks. 2 of them have been longtime runners in the NASCAR Cup Series, some of the oldest tracks that are known on the NASCAR schedule, and then one of them is Kansas, which is, well, it's a cookie cutter. There's not a whole lot else to say about that one.
No love for Kansas. Hype out the other tracks and then Kansas.
No love for Kansas on my end, but I think that might just be some personal bias on my end. I've never been a fan of that track, but no doubt going to provide entertaining racing in of its own right. But yeah, 3 very awesome racetracks to be going to for the first round of 16, and no doubt it's going to be one dramatic opening round to the 2022 playoffs.
What do you think, Terry, looking at the names and looking at the Lady in Black, which we'll be dancing with next Monday night for the first race of the round of 16?
I'm expecting chaos. I'm expecting, believe it or not, if you fast or rewind our life, Evan, first race we ever called together, Darlington. Race we're calling next week, Darlington, and it was chaos in the 87s for the Retro 500. It's going to be chaos next week from 6th on back. It is a 1-race deal. 1 bad race for anybody up there with the 2006 next to their name, and it's game over for the playoffs. And I got love for Kansas, Nolan, because I'm a winner there in C Open. So let's go to Kansas. That ain't a cookie cutter. That's a rip it, stick it, slide job track, boys.
Well, that makes one of us for being winners there.
It'll be a fun challenge, and then Bristol to close it all out.
It's Bristol,
margin
baby!
for error is non-existent, but there are 3 golden tickets into the round of 12 on the line in the next month, but it all starts next Monday night. Until then, and for the regular season, that is it for us here tonight from iRacing's virtual Daytona International Speedway. On behalf of our entire team at Real Sim Racing, for RaceSpotTV, Kayla Synthetics, and your entire broadcast crew tonight. For Joshua Lee downstairs, for Terry Radford, Nolan Rempel, and myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate the 85th different Cup winner all time, Landon Mills, on his victory here tonight in the Race Seat for a Cause 200. The fight for the Full Throttle Cup continues on, and the playoffs start next Monday, September the 5th, from the virtual Darlington Raceway for the Elwood Designs Southern 250. That race and every race of the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series playoffs can be found exclusively here on RaceSpotTV. Till next time, good night from Daytona.